If you're really serious about artificial intelligence, there's a major move you have to be thinking about: shifting those powerful, resource-hungry AI systems into the cloud. We're going to see that this is so much more than just a technical switch. It's a fundamental change for your entire organization. So let's just start with a really direct question. Is your current setup holding your AI back? It's a real problem. A lot of organizations are waking up to this. Their traditional in-house systems are becoming a serious bottleneck, stopping their AI from truly delivering on its massive promise. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at what I'm calling the AI crossroads, which is where so many companies get stuck. Then, we'll explore why the cloud is pretty much the only answer. From there, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of strategic planning and then wrap it all up with the best practices that'll make the whole journey a success. Okay, let's start right at that crossroads. This is really a collision point. It's where the old, rigid way of doing things slams right into the incredibly demanding world of modern AI. And right here, the mismatch is just crystal clear. On-premise systems are all about fixed capacity and these huge upfront costs. But AI, it's the total opposite. It has these massive cyclical workloads. Think about these intense training periods that need tons of power, followed by much lighter use. AI needs to scale up and down dynamically, and that's just something traditional hardware was never, ever designed to do. So what's the solution then? Well, this is where the cloud comes into play. It's not just a nice-to-have for AI anymore. It's absolutely essential if you want to unlock what this technology can really do. Let's dig into why. The first and maybe the most obvious advantage is just getting your hands on incredibly powerful, specialized hardware. We're talking about things like GPUs, graphics processing units, and TPUs, tensor processing units. These are chips that are specifically built to make machine learning tasks go faster. A lot faster. And here's the real game changer. You get all of that power without the crushing expense of actually owning and maintaining it. The cloud providers have already spent the billions, and now you can just rent that horsepower by the minute or by the hour. It makes world-class AI infrastructure accessible to pretty much anyone. This brings us to a core, beautiful concept of the cloud: elasticity. It's basically the ability to dial your computing power up or down based on exactly what you need right this second. Remember those cyclical AI workloads we just talked about? Well, with elasticity, you can spin up thousands of servers for a massive model training job, and then poof, spin them all down when it's done. You only pay for what you actually use. It is a perfect match. So when you put it all together, the benefits are just huge. You can scale whenever you need to, you get to use hardware you could probably never afford to buy, and you can leverage all these powerful pre-built AI services. But you want to know the biggest win? Your team gets to focus on building amazing AI instead of just babysitting servers. Okay, so the why is pretty clear, but the how? That's where these projects often succeed or fail. And that brings us to strategic planning. You've got to chart your course before you set sail. Now, before you even think about moving anything, there's a concept you have to get your head around: data gravity. AI models are built on these monstrously large data sets. We're talking petabytes of data sometimes. That data has gravity. It's so big and heavy that it's really hard and expensive to move. This is such a critical insight because it means you have to decide where your data is going to live first, because everything else is just naturally going to be pulled towards it. Now, when it comes to the migration itself, you've really got two main choices. Lift and shift is the faster, simpler way. You basically just copy-paste your existing systems to the cloud. But to get the full power of the cloud, like that elasticity we just talked about, you really need a cloud-native redesign. This is a more strategic, but definitely slower approach, where you re-architect your systems from the ground up. So there's a really clear trade-off here between speed and long-term value. The good news is you don't have to do it all at once. In fact, you shouldn't. The smart path is a phased one. Start by moving your low-risk stuff, like your development and test environments. Let your team learn there. Then move some non-critical systems. And only after you've built up that confidence and skill do you even think about touching your most mission-critical AI workloads. It's all about managing risk. And of course, there are other critical things to think about. Does your app need real-time, super low latency responses? What about industry compliance or security regulations? Are there rules about where your data can physically be stored? All of this has to be baked into your plan from day one. All right, the plan is in place. Now it's time to actually navigate the journey. This brings us to our final section, execution, and the best practices that will make sure you get there successfully. You are probably going to hit a few bumps in the road. A really common challenge is just making sure your AI models can actually run in the new cloud environment. You'll also likely need to modernize your data pipelines to really take advantage of all the cool cloud services. And here's a big one. You have to actively manage your spending. Without proper governance, cloud costs for AI can spiral out of control fast. So, what are the keys to success? Well, it really boils down to 4 essential practices. First, do a thorough assessment before you even start. Second, invest in training your team. The cloud is a different world. Third, put deep monitoring in place from the very beginning. And finally, actively plan and, this is the important part, test for disaster recovery. The cloud gives you amazing tools for this, but you actually have to use them. This quote really just nails it. This is a transformation that can unlock new capabilities and accelerate innovation. In other words, you're not just swapping out servers. The real takeaway here is to see this as a strategic business move, not just another tech project. And that really brings us to our final thought. As AI continues to just reshape every single industry, the infrastructure that powers it becomes a massive competitive advantage. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Is your organization truly positioned with the flexible, scalable, and innovative foundation it needs to win in this new AI-driven future?